Washington, October 1884. Imagine a stuffy hall, creaky floorboards, heavy drapes, the air thick with cigar smoke and tension. Delegates from 26 countries sit at long tables, their faces serious, their eyes reflecting the weight of the historical moment. They gathered not just to draw lines on a world map. No, they were there to synchronize time itself. Until then, every city, every town had its own unique time, tied to local solar noon. The watch in your pocket was unique to your street, your village, and then, in an instant, it all changed. A decision was made to introduce a single world meridian, time zones, standardization. Can you imagine? As if someone took a giant metronome and suddenly started beating a new, faster rhythm for the entire planet. This was the first wake-up call, when we collectively felt that our personal, internal time no longer belonged to us alone. It became part of something bigger, mechanical, and relentlessly accelerating, as if someone had shifted the gear on our collective existence. Listen, while you're pondering these thoughts about time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video if it makes you think. It really helps us create even more stories like this. And you know what? I'm curious. What city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear. Now, back to our crazy question. Did those delegates unknowingly open Pandora's box, unleashing a feeling of eternal rush? Because let's be honest, don't you feel like days flash by, like frames of an old film reel on fast forward? You wake up, just stretch, and it's already evening. Yesterday was Monday, and now it's Thursday. Where did Tuesday and Wednesday go? Oh, that's just old age, a skeptic might say. Or, you're just busy, that's why it feels that way. Another might chuckle. But listen, I'm telling you, this isn't just our subjective perception. There's something more, something far deeper and more unsettling. Remember how in childhood summer lasted forever, and New Year's holidays seemed like an eternity? And now? New Year's was just celebrated, and it's already May. As if an invisible hand took the clock and simply spun the hands in a frantic dance. We live in an era where news becomes old faster than you can read it. The information flow overwhelms us in waves, demanding attention every second. We're constantly rushing somewhere, afraid to be late, to miss out, to not keep up. This isn't just modern life's pace. It's something fundamental, as if the entire planet, along with all of us, has been caught in a giant centrifuge, spinning faster and faster. Feel that pulse. In the morning, you might drink coffee, but by evening you feel like a squeezed lemon, even though you seemingly did nothing special. Where did your energy go? It dissolved in time, which has accelerated, compressed, collapsed. Our brain tries to adapt, but it struggles. It's like an old computer trying to run modern games on maximum settings. It overheats, slows down, throws errors. We talk about stress, burnout, depression, but what if it's not just poor ecology or a job crisis? What if it's a reaction to the very reality around us, starting its frantic sprint? It's as if we're all running a marathon, but no one told us the finish line is constantly moving closer, and the pace of the race keeps increasing. This isn't a metaphor, friends. This is that eerie premonition whispering to each of us. Time isn't just running, it's flying, rushing, hurtling towards some point, towards something unknown. And here's the main question hanging in the air. Is it just our perception? Or has the very fabric of reality, time itself begun to accelerate, only to collapse into a single, final point? Forget Skynet and the robot uprising. Those are minor details. We're talking about something far more fundamental. About time. Our time. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Feel that metronome beating inside you. It's faster now, isn't it? July 16th, 1945, 4:30 in the morning. Alamogordo Desert, New Mexico. Imagine a night blacker than anthracite, a silence about to be shattered by an infernal roar. On a tower, amidst a tangle of wires and strange tubes, it stood motionless. A massive steel sphere, dubbed the Gadget. Scientists, geniuses, nervously smoking, wiping their glasses, their faces pale in the glow of portable flashlights. They had waited for this moment for months, for years. And then the countdown began. 10, 9, 8. In the last second, Oppenheimer, one of the main architects of this new world, whispered a line from a sacred text. "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." And the next moment, boom. No, not a boom. It wasn't a sound. It was light. Light brighter than 1,000 suns, blinding, otherworldly, painting the pre-dawn sky in all shades of apocalypse. The air trembled. The earth groaned. Humanity had just crossed the point of no return. It had let the genie out of the bottle, changing its fate forever. It was a singularity in the human dimension, a moment when all old rules collapsed and the world became different. Completely different. By the way, if you already feel the fabric of reality around you beginning to vibrate, and you're curious what happens next, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. For us, it's like fuel for a time machine. And please tell us in the comments, what city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? We are very interested to know how far our message about time has traveled. So listen, if you think Singularity is just about a Skynet uprising, cyborgs taking over the planet, or artificial intelligence deciding humanity is a bug to fix, that's just the tip of the iceberg. A very beautiful, but very small tip. In reality, the concept of singularity is far deeper, older, and dare I say, scarier. Because it comes to us from mathematics. Imagine a typical math problem, like 2 + 2 = 4. All clear, all logical. Now imagine you're trying to divide something by 0. What happens? Physicists say, "What nonsense?" But mathematicians calmly reply, "Infinity." Or to be more precise, undefined. That is, it's a point where all familiar rules, laws, and logic simply cease to work. Everything goes to hell. Everything converges into one unimaginable point where density, temperature, pressure, anything becomes infinite. And that's why it's called the point of no return. Remember those black holes we've heard about in movies and read about in books? These cosmic monsters that devour light, stars, even entire galaxies? Well, at their very heart is a singularity. A place where the entire mass of a star collapses into an infinitesimally small point, where space and time are turned inside out, where the laws of physics that we so diligently study in schools and universities simply wave goodbye and go on vacation. Forever. Or take the Big Bang. Yes, that very event that, it's believed, gave birth to our universe 14 billion years ago. Many theories suggest that before it, all matter and energy of the universe were concentrated in a single, infinitesimally small, and infinitely dense singularity. Imagine, this entire huge, boundless, expanding universe was once packed into a point, as if all the books in a vast library were compressed into a single letter. So, what does this mean? Singularity isn't just a trendy word for futurists. It's a perfectly scientific concept that describes situations where parameters reach extreme, often infinite values, and our models and laws break down. It's not a system bug. It's the boundary of our understanding. That's why it's so intriguing and so frightening. Because if our Earth, our time, our civilization are indeed moving towards some collapse into a point, then it won't just be the end of the world. It will be the moment when everything we know, everything our reality rests upon, ceases to make sense. As if someone pulled the plug and the whole world reboots or simply vanishes into oblivion. Think about this. When you run out of groceries in your fridge, it's just an inconvenience. But when you try to cram a whole army's worth of food into a tiny freezer, that's a singularity on a domestic level. The freezer simply won't withstand it. It wasn't designed for such loads. It will collapse or break and then collapse. The same thing happens in the universe. When parameters, be it gravity, density, or even the speed of information exchange, exceed all reasonable limits, the system reaches its singularity. And what's most terrifying, we don't know what's beyond that point. No one knows. It's an event horizon beyond which not only light disappears, but also any possibility of prediction, any hope of understanding. It's like entering a room where all the laws of physics are suddenly cancelled, and you can't even tell up from down. That's what singularity truly is, and that's precisely where, according to some, we are heading right now. Fast, very fast. The Mayans, December 21st, 2012. Remember that day? The whole world, or at least a good half of it, literally held its breath. Cinemas were full of doomsday blockbusters. The internet buzzed with panicked predictions and memes. Some eccentrics built bunkers in Altai, others bought candles and canned goods, while some just quietly waited for the end promised by the Mayans. And you know what the atmosphere was like? A mix of hysteria and some strange anticipation. People gazed at the sky, listened to the news, and even the most hardened skeptics couldn't help but wonder, what if? By the way, if you're enjoying our journey through the winding paths of time and singularity, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapters. And please tell us in the comments, what city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? We'd be very interested to know. So, let's go back to the Mayans. Remember, they predicted not so much the end of the world, but the end of a great cycle, a grand cycle. And this isn't the first time in human history we've awaited this very end. Or, as we might now say, a collapse into a point. Imagine for millennia, people have depicted apocalypse scenarios with astonishing persistence. Take, for example, the ancient Scandinavians. They had their Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, a great battle after which the world plunged into chaos, and then rose from the ashes. Not just destruction, but rebirth. The end is a beginning. The finale is a start. And the Bible? The book of Revelation. That's a whole instruction manual for meeting the end of the world, written with such drama that any Hollywood screenwriter would be envious. Angels' trumpets, 7 seals, the beast from the abyss. All of these are not just metaphors. They are premonitions deeply embedded in humanity's cultural code. Premonitions that one day a moment will come when the usual order of things will simply collapse. Implode. Like a house of cards. And the skeptic will immediately exclaim, "So what? That's just fear of the unknown." People have always been afraid of what they didn't understand. Or, Primitive civilizations couldn't explain natural catastrophes, so they made up all sorts of stories about gods and apocalypses. But listen, isn't it amazing how similar these stories are, regardless of continent or epoch? From the Mayan calendar cycle, which ends to begin anew, to the Indian yugas, cycles of world time lasting millions of years, yet inevitably leading to the dissolution of the universe. This isn't just fear. It's like a universal sensor embedded in our collective consciousness, a feeling that time is not infinite, that everything has its limit, its climax. You know, it's like when you're on a roller coaster. You climb slowly, then faster, even faster. And at some point you reach the peak, that very point where everything stops for a fraction of a second, and then, bam, you plummet. Ancient prophets, perhaps, felt this peak. They saw time gaining speed, sensed the moment when it had to reach its limit, its culminating point, after which either a fall begins, or even more interestingly, an entirely new journey. It's not demise, it's transformation. What if these ancient predictions aren't naive stories, but intuitive attempts to comprehend something far more complex? Not just the end of the world in a literal sense, but a kind of phase transition when familiar parameters, like the flow of time, reach their extreme value, like water boiling and turning into steam. That's not the end of water. It's a change in its state, a transition to a new form. And now, when we talk about singularity, about time on Earth accelerating to collapse into a point, doesn't it seem to you that we, modern humans, with our supercomputers and space telescopes, are actually just translating the same ancient premonition into scientific language? Perhaps we have always awaited this moment. We just called it by different names. And now we have a new word for it. Singularity. Sounds much more substantial, doesn't it? But the essence, it seems, remains the same. We're just returning to an old question, but with new tools. So, maybe humanity has always lived with this biblical timer in its head. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Until what moment? Until that very point. November 22nd, 1963. Dallas, Texas. A clear yet fateful day. When the shots rang out at noon, the world froze, and then it spun into a frenzy. News of the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, circled the globe not in days or weeks, as it would have just half a century prior. No. Within minutes, thanks to already operating radio stations and television just coming into its own, this tragic news reached millions of minds across the planet. Shock, grief, questions, and one feeling: time seemed to compress. Back then, it felt instantaneous. But now, listen, if you're enjoying our journey through the winding paths of time and singularity, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give us a like. It helps us keep creating. And, by the way, what city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Tell us in the comments. We'd love to hear. Now let's return to our time, which, well, you feel it yourself, it's different. Remember how people used to write letters? Carefully penning words, waiting weeks, even months, for a reply. Every word carried weight. Every line had its value. It was a time when information flowed not like a river, but more like a calm stream. Slowly, thoughtfully. Imagine you're waiting for news from a friend who moved to another city. You wait a day, a week, 2 weeks. That waiting, it was part of time, its volume. And now, tweet, post, swipe, comment. Our brain is drowning in a stream of information that gets faster and denser every year. You know what's strangest? We complain about a lack of time, even though technology, it would seem, should be freeing it up. But the opposite is happening. An informational tsunami. A waterfall of data. You're trying to drink from a fire hose? Your brain is a hard drive where terabytes of data pour in every second. News, memes, messages, emails, videos, streams, non-stop. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what effect does this have on our perception? Some physicists, of course, will say, "What nonsense! Time is a fundamental quantity. It can't speed up because of your social media feed." And they would be right. Formally. But there's a catch. Our subjective reality. Our feelings. Time isn't just a hand on a clock. It's also the rhythm of our lives and the speed at which our consciousness processes information. Imagine a metaphor. You're stuck in traffic. The clock shows 10 minutes, but subjectively, you feel like an eternity has passed. Or conversely, you're absorbed in a project and hours fly by, but it feels like only 20 minutes. Our perception of time is flexible, like dough. And what happens when the brain is constantly overloaded? When the amount of incoming data exceeds all conceivable limits, it starts to work faster, or it has to work faster to keep up. And this creates the illusion that external time has accelerated. The brain, like an overheated processor, processes information at a feverish pace, compressing the intervals between events. It compresses our reality. Click, scroll, next. Not seconds, milliseconds. We live in an age of big data, where information isn't just knowledge, it's currency, fuel, and possibly even a new factor, warping the space-time of our everyday lives. What if this informational tsunami is the harbinger of that very singularity we're talking about? Not a cosmic collapse, but rather a cognitive one? A singularity where the density of information becomes so extreme that our linear perception of reality simply collapses? The brain is in a panic, overload, and now you can't remember what happened yesterday, but you know exactly what your favorite blogger posted 5 minutes ago. Time blurs, loses its clear boundaries, becoming a formless mass that we try to digest, but only choke on. Could this informational apocalypse not just be stress, but a planetary process that imperceptibly but relentlessly accelerates us towards something inevitable? Towards that very point where everything will become different? Where information will consume everything, including our time. Imagine a hot June of 71. Somewhere in the deserts of Arizona or on the snowy peaks of Chile, astronomers with intense focus bent over telescopes and graphs. They were observing something that seemed impossible, the binary system Cygnus X1. Astronomers were like, "What is this? Where's all this powerful X-ray coming from? And why is one of the objects invisible?" From there, from the depths of space, came a signal. Not just a signal, but a thunderous announcement of the birth of a monster. Invisible, super dense, terrifyingly attractive. Something physicists had previously considered only a mathematical abstraction, a black hole. It wasn't just a new star. It was a crack in the fabric of reality, a portal where all familiar laws simply vanished. You listen and you get goosebumps, right? If this story captivates you as much as it does us, don't forget to subscribe and like. It really helps us make more videos like this. And also, tell us, what city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Let us know in the comments. We'd be interested to know our geography. Meanwhile, let's return to our cosmic monster. You know, for physicists, singularity isn't just a scary word. It's like a sweet forbidden fruit, a place where equations stop working, where density and gravity reach infinity. It's not a bug, it's a feature. It's like when your computer freezes, but not just randomly, but because it tries to divide by zero, and then opens a portal to another reality. It's similar with a black hole. Its event horizon is the point of no return. Cross it, and you're already in a bottomless cosmic funnel. And at its very center, that same singularity, infinitesimally small yet infinitely dense point where space and time simply collapse. It's cooler than any horror movie, or take the Big Bang. Our universe, according to all current theories, was born from such a singularity, from a tiny, incredibly hot and dense point. Boom, and here we are, discussing time. It's as if your entire life, all your memories, everything you see and feel, began with one single, utterly incomprehensible moment. From nothingness, everything arose. So a singularity can be not only an end, but also a very beginning. Funny, isn't it? A cosmic reboot, collapsed into a point, and then a new round, only on a grander scale. But there are those who don't like these infinities. Theoretical physicists, especially those working with string theory, say, "Hold on, guys, there are no infinities." They try to smooth out these singularities. Imagine you're looking at a crumpled piece of paper. From a distance, it seems flat, but up close, it's full of folds and sharp angles. String theory suggests, what if these points are actually vibrating one-dimensional strings, or even brane surfaces in extra dimensions? What if a singularity isn't a hole in the fabric of reality, but simply a folded corner that we can't yet perceive in full dimension? It's like taking a super powerful microscope to see that a point is actually a whole planet. Well, or a whole set of planets. It's an attempt to understand what happens beyond the event horizon, what was before the Big Bang. String theorists say, there's no end there, there's just different physics that we can't see yet. It's like trying to understand what's inside a black box if all you have is a tape measure and a flashlight. So listen carefully. If space is this giant laboratory where nature constantly experiments with these points, these singularities, what if our planet, our species, our civilization, is a kind of cosmic experiment to achieve its own earthly singularity? Sounds like nonsense? Let's figure it out. We too are accumulating information, accelerating, increasing the density of interaction. Every day, every second, we're building increasingly complex systems where everything is interconnected. It's like gravitational compression, but not of mass, but of meanings and connections. If a black hole compresses matter to infinite density, what compresses us? Our knowledge? Our speed of life? Maybe we are not just inhabitants of Earth, but participants in a grand cosmic play, where each of us, an actor, unknowingly, pushes the plot towards its climax, towards our own unique earthly point. 1657. The Dutch mathematician, physicist, and astronomer Christian Huygens presents his ingenious invention to the world, the pendulum clock. In a cozy, light-filled workshop, to the faint, rhythmic tick-tock, the mechanism, like a living heart, began to measure time with unprecedented accuracy. Until this moment, time was something fluid, imprecise, dependent on sundials or water clocks. But here, a strict, relentless rhythm that, as if for the first time, made humanity feel the iron pulse of time. Imagine how the perception of life changed then, from a measured flow to seconds, minutes, hours that suddenly began to count. By the way, if you're interested in such journeys through time and thought, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like. It really helps us move forward and create more interesting content for you. And also, I'm very curious, what city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Tell us in the comments, we'd love to hear. While you're writing, let's return to our main question, hanging in the air like an invisible query. Who on Earth turned on the time accelerator? We feel it, each of us. Days flash by, weeks merge into months, and years rush past with astonishing speed. Is it just an illusion, a product of our busy lives and information overload? Or is there actually some cosmic or even quantum switch that someone imperceptibly flipped? Physicists, when they hear such questions, usually shrug and mumble something about subjective perception. But let's dig deeper. What if time isn't just a linear river, but rather quantum soup? At the smallest level, at the so-called Planck scale, that's 1 × 10⁻43rd power of a second, a number hard to even imagine. Time ceases to be the familiar tick-tock. There, it more closely resembles a bubbling foam, where virtual particles are born and disappear, where the fabric of space-time is so warped that familiar laws simply crumble to dust. And what if our world, this familiar reality of ours, is somehow connected to this quantum meat grinder? Imagine that time isn't just a hand on a clock, but rather a frequency, like radio waves, and something suddenly started changing this frequency, increasing it. Perhaps it's gravitational anomalies. We know that gravity not only attracts, but also warps space-time itself. Near a black hole, time slows down to a complete halt. But what if there are less noticeable, yet ubiquitous distortions in the gravitational field of Earth, or even the solar system that have the opposite effect? As if someone stretched a rubber sheet of our cosmos, and now it's vibrating faster. Or maybe it's about collective consciousness. Sounds like esoteric nonsense, right? Wait, imagine our brain is a processor, very powerful but still. 100 years ago, it processed information at one speed. Books, rare news, live communication. Now, data streams barrage us from all sides. Messengers, social networks, news every second. We try to digest colossal volumes of information that entire generations never even dreamed of. Our brain, to cope with this, seems to accelerate its internal processes. And when our internal processor works on turbo mode, wouldn't it seem that the outside world rushes by faster? As if you're watching a movie on fast forward because you don't have time for a regular viewing. Oh, come on, that's just stress and fatigue, some skeptic will say. And I'll ask, what if this stress and fatigue aren't just a side effect, but an indicator that we ourselves have become the catalyst? We ourselves, with our desire for constant development, for accelerated progress, for instant communication, for doing everything at once, may have pressed that cosmic fast-forward button. We're building a world that demands ever greater speed from us, and our perception of time adjusts to these demands. As if humanity's collective consciousness has become a giant magnet, attracting and compressing the very fabric of reality. So who turned on the accelerator? Not some god with a remote, not aliens, not a secret society, but us, our technologies, our desires, our collective unconscious, relentlessly rushing forward like a train at maximum speed. And now it doesn't matter who turned it on. What matters is that the brake handle, it seems, is gone. Or maybe we just don't want to look for it. Imagine a grand yet meticulous ball in Vienna. And not just any ball, but one that reshaped all of Europe. 1815. The lavish halls of the Hofburg, where amidst the clinking of glasses and the rustle of ball gowns, diplomats of all stripes, from the Russian emperor to the Austrian chancellor, weren't just dancing. No, they were literally reassembling. Europe after the Napoleonic Wars. Every border, every duchy, every piece of land was debated vehemently, as if they were putting together a giant world puzzle from the fragments of an old era. It was a moment of incredible concentration of power, ideas, and aspirations, a kind of point of assembly for an entire continent, after which it was never the same. Listen, if these captivating stories about time, space, and incredible hypotheses make your brain sparkle, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new chapters of our journey. We're very interested to know, what city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Please tell us in the comments. We'd love to read them. And meanwhile, let's return to our point of assembly and ask ourselves, what if this Austrian ball is just a microscopic analogy of what's happening to our entire reality? So, we've always talked about singularity as an inevitable catastrophe, about time collapsing into nothingness, about the end of everything. But what if it's not the finale? What if it's a reboot? Imagine your smartphone. It's lagging, glitching, stuffed with unnecessary files and apps. What do? That's right, you perform a factory reset. Everything old is deleted, the system is cleaned, and now you have an almost new, fast device in your hands. What if our universe, our time, our civilization has reached a point where it's time to press that reset button? Skeptics will immediately protest. What nonsense! The universe isn't a smartphone? And I'll agree, partially. But listen, physicists know that in black holes, matter compresses to an infinitely small density, a singularity. At the moment of the Big Bang, the entire universe was also such a point. And what? Was that the end? No, it was a grand beginning. That is, collapse is not always synonymous with disappearance. Sometimes it's synonymous with concentration. Remember how you tried to condense all your thoughts into one short, concise sentence? Or how a chef reduces broth to get a concentrated, rich flavor. That's what a point of assembly is. Not disappearance, but sublimation. The transformation of a vast array of disparate data, experience, knowledge, everything humanity has accumulated over millennia, into something denser, purer, highly organized. It's like crystallization. Millions of molecules float chaotically in a solution, and then, bam, they assemble into a perfect, ordered structure. Perhaps our collective memory, our consciousness, our entire history is moving towards a similar crystallization, not to demise, but to a transition into a different, more perfect state. Why would we need to collapse? To shed the unnecessary? To get rid of useless wars, meaningless consumption, the informational clutter that clogs our minds? To reassemble ourselves at a new level? To become something more than just a collection of biological organisms running around on a planet? Do you think this is fantasy? But what if all these ancient prophecies about the end of the world, about a 1,000-year reign, about a new heaven and a new earth, are just an intuitive premonition of this very point of assembly? Not a literal apocalypse of fire and brimstone, but rather a metaphorical one, an apocalypse of the old paradigm to make way for the new? It's like the final chord of a symphony. All the music, all the themes, all the instruments come together in a powerful, culminating sound. It's not the end of the music, it's its quintessence, its peak. And then, silence, which carries the promise of a new melody. And who knows, maybe our accelerating time isn't just hysteria or a glitch. Maybe it's a mechanism that consciously pushes us towards this point, forces us to make decisions faster, process information faster, evolve faster, to be ready for this grand transition. Towards this very point of assembly, where our entire reality will be repackaged, rebooted, and perhaps elevated to a new, incomprehensible level of existence. This isn't just an end, it's an overture to eternity, or at the very least, to something profoundly new. Imagine 18th century England around 1784. Not just a year, but a roar and steam. You're standing at the entrance of a textile factory, the air thick with coal dust, and the walls shake with a rhythmic thud. Inside, like a giant metallic heart, Watt's steam engine is pounding. Until this moment, everything was slow, measured. From plowing a field to sewing a shirt, each stage took an enormous amount of time. But then this behemoth, with its gears and pistons, began to turn coal into motion, motion into fabric, and fabric into a product that was produced faster than anyone could have imagined. It was more than just an invention. It was the first click of an invisible switch that shifted humanity from marching mode to running mode. At the moment man learned to harness steam, he unconsciously pressed the accelerate button for the entire world. You know, if you're already enjoying this journey through the nooks and crannies of time, and you feel that each new twist intrigues you more and more, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. For us, it's like fuel for that very steam engine we just talked about. And by the way, what city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear. Meanwhile, we'll continue our race through history and hypotheses, because it's these seemingly minor inventions, actions, decisions that trigger a chain reaction. The butterfly effect, you know? A flap of wings in one place, a hurricane on the other side of the world. Just imagine, one person improved an engine, and what then? Factories started producing more, faster. Goods flooded the markets. People flocked to cities. Cities grew. There arose a need for new technologies, new energy sources, new ways of communication. This is no longer just a butterfly. It's a flock of butterflies that turned into airliners and then into supersonic fighter jets, screaming across reality. And now, let's fast forward to our present day. Every decision we make, every message in a messenger app, every new trend, every second spent scrolling a feed. Oh, come on, you'll say. What's singularity? I'm just liking posts. But this is precisely the domino effect. You like a post, the algorithm remembers. You watch a video, the system learns. Billions of people do the same, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And this endless stream of information, these terabytes of data generated every minute, they don't just exist, they do something. They shape our reality. They accelerate decision-making. They shorten distances. They compress time. Imagine that time is an elastic band. Before, to get from point A to point B, you had to travel many miles. But now, thanks to all these technologies, all this information, we're learning to tighten this band, bringing points closer together. We ourselves, with our own hands, our inventions, our endless improvements to life, are beginning to compress space and time itself. Skeptical physicists, of course, will scoff. What's the connection between likes and gravity? These are metaphors, not science. And they'd be partly right. But listen, if time isn't just a line, but a fabric, as Einstein says, a fabric that can be bent, stretched, compressed. They sold their homes, gave away their possessions, and many donned white robes, dubbed ascension robes. Holding their breath, they gazed at the skies, awaiting the second coming of Christ. These were followers of William Miller, a man who, based on his interpretations of biblical prophecies, predicted the exact date of the end of the world and the ascension of the righteous. Imagine the level of tension in the air, collective hope, mixed with sacred dread. People were absolutely convinced. The world as they knew it was about to collapse into a point, and then something entirely different would begin. They prepared. They prepared as best they could, physically and spiritually. Before we dive into this whirlwind of questions about preparation, if you're enjoying our journey through the winding paths of time and singularity, please like and subscribe to the channel. It's very important to us, as it tells us we're moving in the right direction. And please tell us, what city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Write in the comments, we'd love to hear. And now, let's return to our Millerites, holding their breath. After several hours of waiting, day turned to night, but nothing happened. The world didn't collapse. The sky didn't open. What followed became known in history as the Great Disappointment. But you see, what's interesting? These people prepared. They sincerely believed that time wasn't just accelerating, it was approaching its critical finale. And in this, their story strikingly echoes our topic today: singularity and how to prepare for it. Because if time is truly accelerating, if it's rushing towards its collapse point, what should we do? We essentially have two global strategies, just like the title of this section: survive or ascend. Hold on, stop. The skeptic within me immediately raises an eyebrow. Wait, survive the collapse of time? What, like hiding in a bunker from a gravitational anomaly? What nonsense. And he's, of course, partly right. If we're talking about a physical collapse of space and time, a singularity akin to a black hole or the Big Bang, then there are no survival strategies. There, the laws of physics cease to work, and any semblance of normal life is out of the question. Imagine trying to dodge a universe falling on top of you. Pointless, right? But we're talking not only about physics in its most extreme manifestation, we're also talking about singularity in a technological, informational, and perhaps even evolutionary sense. About that point where our familiar laws, economic, social, even psychological, break under the pressure of speed and complexity. And here, there are options. So, strategy number 1, survive. What does that mean in the context of accelerating time? This isn't about canned goods and mountain bunkers, though many instinctively think that way. It's rather about adapting to the insane speed of change. You're trying to keep your ship afloat when there's a Category 5 hurricane all around. You learn to make decisions faster. You master new professions every 5 years. You invest in education, in the flexibility of your thinking. It's like learning to run faster and faster just to stay in place. Quickly change skills. Learn something new every day. Media detox to avoid drowning in the informational tsunami. Maintain mental resilience. But there's another side to the coin. There's a limit to how fast you can run. The body tires, the brain overloads. Sooner or later, this relentless race corners you. And here enters strategy number 2. Ascend. That sounds far more dramatic, doesn't it? And less concrete. But this is precisely where it gets most interesting. Ascend doesn't necessarily mean flying into the sky in white robes, like the Millerites. It's a metaphor for radical transformation, transcending the familiar. Imagine you don't try to hide from the tsunami, but learn to swim in it, or even become part of that wave. This could be technological ascension. Transferring consciousness into a digital format, integrating with artificial intelligence, creating a collective mind. We cease to be just biological organisms and become something greater, distributed. Our self expands. This could be mental or spiritual ascension, changing our very perception of reality, abandoning linear time as the sole truth. Mindfulness practices, meditation, expanding consciousness, all of this could be part of preparing for life in a world where time doesn't just run, but dances by entirely different rules. When physicists talk about black holes, they don't think about survival inside them. They think about how the laws of physics change at the event horizon, how we can understand this new reality, even if we can't directly experience it. For us, ascension is an attempt to understand and adapt to the new laws of being that will emerge after the singularity. And what to choose? Run or fly? Preserve the old or create the new? Perhaps it's a false choice. Maybe true preparation is a hybrid strategy, a kind of quantum leap in our thinking. We need to develop unprecedented adaptability to survive in an accelerating world and simultaneously open our consciousness to the possibility of radical transformation, to ascend beyond familiar reality. It's like becoming a tree, whose roots run deep into the earth of current reality, but whose crown reaches high into the sky, towards unknown dimensions. Essentially, preparing for an encounter with time is preparing for an encounter with ourselves, with the limits of our perception, with our fears, with our ability to change. It's a constant internal dialogue. Do you cling to old paradigms, or are you ready to shed your old skin like a snake to grow further? Ultimately, to survive or to ascend, it's probably the same question asked from different angles about our readiness to evolve. Imagine, it's 1929. A man named Edwin Hubble, at his desk in the Mount Wilson Observatory, California, is staring into an enormous 2.5-meter telescope, a true monster, the most powerful at the time. He's studying the Andromeda Nebula, which back then was thought to be just a cloud of gas within our own galaxy. And after long nights of observation, calculations, and doubts, enlightenment strikes. He sees Cepheids, variable stars that unequivocally prove Andromeda isn't a cloud, it's an entire separate galaxy. The world we knew collapsed and expanded simultaneously. Our universe, which we thought was the only one, turned out to be just one of billions of grains of sand on an endless shore. Can you imagine the shock? Physicists of that era, and ordinary people too, probably said, "What nonsense! Our universe isn't the whole universe. That can't be." But it happened. The boundaries of our perception shattered. Before we step together beyond this invisible boundary, I ask you, if you're enjoying this journey through time and space, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue these crazy thought experiments. And one more question. What city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Let us know in the comments. We'd be interested. Now, let's look beyond the horizon once more. When we talk about singularity, we often imagine something like a black hole that swallows everything without a trace, as if our world is a giant pancake on a griddle that suddenly collapsed into a tiny, invisible point. And after that, emptiness, nothing. Physicists would say, well, the laws of physics stop working. Goodbye, reality. But listen, what if this isn't the end? What if it's like that very black hole that, according to some theories, leads to another universe? Or like a door that closes behind one room only to open 100 others? It's not delete, it's more like Format C, but with an operating system upgrade to an unimaginable version 10.0. Imagine your old smartphone, barely running modern apps, suddenly transforms into a quantum supercomputer capable of calculating entire worlds. It's not an end, it's a transformation. Remember, we talked about a point of assembly, about how collapse isn't demise, but concentration? Exactly. It's as if all knowledge, all experience, all emotions, all matter, everything that constituted our reality is compressed to an incredible density. And then, what? An explosion? No, not in the sense of the Big Bang, but in the sense of revelation. As if you'd watched a black and white movie your whole life, and then someone switched on color, volume, and augmented reality in 8K. It's not just better, it's different. There, on the other side, perhaps time, as we know it, simply doesn't exist. It doesn't flow linearly, doesn't rush us. Perhaps it will become as pliable as clay in an artist's hands. You might navigate your life, not from beginning to end, but like a library, choosing any page. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, all will merge into a single now. Can you imagine that? As if you took all your photos, videos, and memories, spread them out on a table, and could freely move between them without being tied to chronology. The skeptic will say, that's just crazy. That can't happen. But what if familiar dimensions also lose meaning? 4 dimensions? 5? 10? Our minds, accustomed to 3 spatial and 1 temporal, would simply explode from such abundance. How do you explain color to someone born blind? It's just as hard for us to imagine a world where gravity isn't just a force of attraction, but a symphony of strings playing eternity, or where matter is merely a frozen dance of energies. Our reality, which we considered immutable, might turn out to be just one of many possible configurations. It's not just a new dimension, it's a paradigm shift. And yes, it's frightening, because all our anchors, all our hows, whys, and what's for, all of it will dissolve. We will be like newborn babies who suddenly find themselves in a huge, unfamiliar, yet incredibly beautiful and complex world. Someone might say, will we just become part of something bigger, losing ourselves? But what if losing ourselves actually means finding our true, boundless essence? What if this is that very apocalypse, but not as the end of the world, but as revelation, an awakening? So what awaits us? Emptiness, or a new dimension where time is just a toy? Listen, we don't know. But one thing is certain. This is not the final chapter of the story. This is perhaps the prologue to something so grand, so beyond our current understanding, that we can only gaze with awe and reverence at this mysterious event horizon. Ready? We are merely standing at the threshold of a new era, where existence itself is rewriting its rules. And it's incredibly exciting,